Now, the ANC Youth League in the Northwest Province is calling for the Premier Bushy Maape to retire. He's been out of office for almost 2 months while recovering from surgery. The Youth League says service delivery has suffered during his absence. Now, let's get the latest from our reporter, Bafedile Moerane. Bafedile, good afternoon. Welcome to Today, and thank you very much for your time. Exactly what does the ANC Youth League in the Northwest want to happen? I mean, they are calling for Bushy Maape to go.
Well, they believe, Braden, that it is now time for change and to bring the new premier who will bring services to the people of the Northwest. They believe that during Maape's absence, the people on the ground are suffering. So they're saying at this point in time, they have not yet engaged the mother body at Luthuli House on the matter, but they are in the process to ensure that they bring a stability in the province by bringing a young person who will ensure that this province it's led and services are brought to the people of the province. So they believe that it is time for them to also be given chance as the young people of the Northwest. They are saying that they believe that the protocol should, however, be followed, where 3 names of the candidates should be submitted to Luthuli House, where also interviews should also take place, and then after that the premier should be elected following those interviews. They're saying that it has been instability in the province for quite some time. You would remember that in the past 5 years to where we are right now, we've had about 6 premiers, including those who were acting. We had Supra Mahumapelo, who resigned back in 2018. After that, we saw Wendy Nelson having to act for a little while, and then after that, Job Mokgoro was appointed to take over, and he could also not finish his term, where we saw Motlalepule Khosho having to act also in the meantime, and then later on we saw Bushy Maape having to come and take the 4th. So they're saying that at this point, because the premier, it is now ill following a surgery, as we seeing Nonomalo, who's also the ANC chairperson in the province, acting as the premier, there should be an action now and bring stability in the province. Let's listen to the Secretary General of the ANC Youth League, Tiamo Sotetsi, as to what he actually said to us earlier on, Braden.
What we will be doing from here is to engage the ANC on where do we come from. Because you see, a wrong narrative might be perpetuated out of this thing. The Youth League is not calling for the Premier to resign. The Youth League is calling for the Premier to be retired. And this is because the Premier currently is sick, is not able to attend to his responsibilities, and therefore we feel that the position which he occupies does not allow for a protracted vacuum. And it's for that reason that we say, since there is a need for all hands to be on deck, that there must be a substantive premier that comes in, and so forth. That's where we are coming from. And quite correct, as the chairperson says it, that in the process of filling that vacancy, we need to have energetic young people, preferably, who will be able to drive the machinery of delivering service to our people in a fastened pace.
Bafedile, what is the provincial government saying about Mr. Maape's health, and has there been any reactions from opposition parties in the provincial legislature?
Well, we spoke to the Premier spokesperson, Silo Tatai, who has said to us that the Premier is still on sick leave, but he is recovering well and is expected to revert to work very soon. And opposition parties in the province are actually saying this is not a surprise that the ANC Youth League is calling for the permanent premier at this point in time, while Bushy Maape is still on sick leave. But however, they are saying that the greatest brand is being felt by communities in the Northwest, because with the instability that is happening in the African National Congress, people are not getting any services. Let's listen to Freddy Sonagile of Democratic Alliance at the provincial legislature.
The ANC as a political party is dying. It explains that they no longer have systems in place that ensure that there's even continuity. Because when you look at this changing of premiers, every premier that comes in comes with his own program. There's no continuity, there's no one who accounts for the previous mistakes and all that. You'll remember during Supra Mahupapelu's time, there were programs such as the Tsokotsane, whereby a lot of money was pumped into projects, into ideas and plans. Then 3 years down the line, all of that, when the new Premier Mokgoro came in, they disappeared. No one accounted what those money was used for, where the money went, did people get the what they were promised. Mokgoro came in, he had his own plans. Maape came in, he has his own. Now they are saying that Malo is acting. I mean, if someone is acting capacity on its own, it means that you are just occupying a position of someone who is going to come back. Malloy, what he's doing is not that. He comes in 2 weeks into the acting position where there must already be a plan that should be implemented that he must continue with. He brings his own new plan, Tumtalerolo, or whatever he calls it. And when you look at that plan itself, it has long-term targets. Who's going to be monitoring those targets? It says to you that this man has an idea that I'm going to be here for up until elections or so. There's no plan that I'm going to leave. So this thing of changing and chopping, it brings a lot of instability because no one accounts for the mistakes of the other. As opposition members, we have so many questions of what Bushy Maape had promised the residents. When we ask them to Malloy, he says, I can't speak on these matters, they are not my own. So it creates also a vacuum in terms of accountability. It creates a discord between government and the people, because government comes to the people, says the following, at a later stage they come with another thing, and people can't keep track of what they've promised them. The only thing is for the people to wait for 2024 and do the right thing. Whether it becomes coalitions, whether it becomes removing the ANC completely or giving a mandate to another political party. But the ANC has shown from time and again that they are not ready to govern. You see, the moment when you see a youth wing of a political party calling for its sitting premier or its sitting leadership to be removed, it says that structures have collapsed. It says that that party is no longer willing to govern and has no plan to take the province forward.
Thank you very much to Bafedile Moerane for that update from the Northwest.